Recently, MSNBC's Jonathan Capehart, Jen Psaki, Simone Sanders Townsend, they moderated a forum with the candidates running to be the new chair of the DNC. You may be asking, well, exactly does a DNC chair do? Well, the chair is the Democratic National Committee's top executive. The job is part cheerleader, it's part fundraiser, it's part recruiter, and it's part spokesperson. It is a very visible role when a party no longer occupies the White House, since the president is obviously the de facto leader of his or her own party. So the DNC chair will effectively become the top Democrat in the country, even if they don't actually serve in the government, okay? It's an extremely important role, and I thought that Jonathan and Jen and Simone, they did a fantastic job asking the candidates about their platforms as well as their visions for Democrats' future, because that future is far from clear right now. Departing DNC chair Jamie Harrison is the only leader in decades from either party to enter the position with their team having the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and then leave with it having lost all three. Now, there is so much more that we could talk about with this forum. From our friend Marianne Williamson really showing up and bringing the heat, to Bernie Sanders' former campaign manager Fayez Shaikh saying that Democrats need to stop making so many commitments to so many identity groups. That was interesting. It was honestly a fascinating conversation. But there was one moment that I really want to hone in on, and I want you to pay attention. Here it is.
How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay.
Every single candidate raised their hand. Everyone, every single one of them. They all endorsed the notion that racism and sexism played a significant role in Kamala Harris's loss. Now, this may surprise you. This may even shock you, but if I were on that stage, if I were running to be the DNC chair, I may not have raised my hand. Let me tell you why, okay? So clearly, Harris had to deal with racism and sexism, obviously. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance said things about her that they would never say about a white male Democrat or just a white male in general ever, okay? Trump repeatedly called her lazy, he called her stupid, he called her low IQ, all, of course, anti-black stereotypes. He also repeatedly cast doubt on whether she even was black, suggesting that she was faking her biracial identity. Remember when she became black and all that stuff? And who can forget the times that he asserted that she had slept her way to up California's political ladder. Yes, Kamala Harris faced a great deal of bigotry. We get it. But to say that's, the biggest reason why she lost as a party leader, it's a reason, but I don't think that sends the right message here. Allow me to read you. This is a tweet from a friend of the show, Sarah Longwell, okay? Sarah writes, quote, "If Democrats continue to blame sexism and racism for Kamala Harris's defeat when it was truly the old white guy's fault, Joe Biden, they'll talk their party into never nominating a woman or a black person again. Probably no gays too. And considering that some of the party's most dynamic leaders are women, black people, Pete Buttigieg, that would be a real shame now, wouldn't it?" I'm sorry. I think that is absolutely correct. I do. I think it is spot on analysis. If you're a party leader, the easiest excuse for November is that America simply isn't ready for a black woman in a position of power. It lets everyone off the hook. You don't have to answer questions about, let's say, ad spending or campaign strategy or whether Harris should have gone on Joe Rogan. You don't have to answer those questions. You just say, America is bigoted, and then you just wash your hands clean of the situation, okay? But then think about the implications of that. Think about what Sarah said here. If Democrats walk away from this moment thinking that Harris failed simply because of discrimination, then they will internalize the worst possible lesson that nominating a black woman or any minority is just too risky, that they should never try again, and that, my friends, I think is an outcome that no one should really want. So let's talk about what really happened here. Let's talk about global inflationary forces. Let's talk about the economy that crushed working families. Let's talk about the White House, quite frankly, that failed to sell its own accomplishments. Let's talk about Joe Biden's poor judgment. Yes, very poor judgment in deciding to run again at 82 years of age, forcing the party to rally around a ticket that had already been weighed down by public doubts. First, the economy. When Harris took office, she inherited a world still reeling from the pandemic. Supply chains were shattered. Energy markets were volatile. Food prices were skyrocketing, not just here in the United States, but everywhere. Inflation wasn't some uniquely American crisis, it was global. But did the Biden administration control the narrative? Did they effectively explain to the American people why prices were so high? No. Instead, they let the opposition define the moment. And Harris, as vice president, was inevitably caught in the backlash. Then there is Biden himself. He was the incumbent, the leader of the party, the face of the administration. But instead of stepping aside after the 2022 midterms and allowing a new generation of leadership to emerge, as he promised when he ran, he said he wasn't going to run again, right? And then after that disastrous debate over the summer, Harris was put in an impossible position.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
So Biden drops out, but then Harris is left with one arm tied behind her back. She couldn't criticize the president. She couldn't step out from his shadow. She couldn't be disloyal. How was she supposed to carve out her own identity in that environment? The answer is she wasn't. Because Biden never gave her the chance to do that. And let's talk about the role of the Democratic Party itself in all of this. Harris wasn't just up against Republicans. She was up against an internal party structure that never fully embraced her. Let's just be honest. When she was picked as Biden's running mate, it wasn't because the party was overwhelmingly excited about Kamala Harris. It was because the political moment demanded it. Black voters had saved Biden's primary campaign, and the Democratic base wanted a woman of color on the ticket. But once she was in office, did the party rally around her? Did they work to bolster her image? No. Instead, they whispered about her behind closed doors, leaked unflattering stories, and let the media narrative spiral out of control. Her loss wasn't just about racism or sexism. It wasn't just that. That explanation is too easy, too simplistic, too convenient. It allows Democratic leaders to avoid responsibility for their own failures. And it sets a dangerous precedent that the next time a black woman runs, the party will think twice, that they'll hesitate, that they'll choose the safer option. The lesson here isn't that America will never elect a black woman or a gay man or whomever. The lesson is that political success requires strategy, messaging, and economic conditions that sets a candidate up for victory. The lesson is that if you don't control the narrative, your opponent will do it for you. And the lesson is that Joe Biden's decision to hold on to power instead of passing the torch put Kamala Harris in a losing position before she even had a chance to fight. So let's just be clear here. Kamala Harris didn't lose only because of racism and sexism. Yes, there was racism and sexism. She lost because Democrats failed her, because the economy buried her, because the White House never elevated her. And if Democrats don't learn the right lesson from this moment, they'll make sure that no black woman or any minority gets a real shot again. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.